Beginning with their expertise in metalwork, the Irish are going to take those design skills and transfer them over to manuscripts and also to stone carving. This is figure 11.1 in our textbook, and you actually have a bunch of details of it. It is from the Book of Kells, and that is the most famous of all of the Irish manuscript creations. A manuscript is a reasonably small scale book, and in this case the pages measure 9.5 by 13, so they're coming in just a little bit bigger than a notebook sheet of paper that you would have that you might be taking notes on. For a book that is this richly illustrated, that's pretty small, but it makes it small and portable, easy to share ideas, and also easy to share artistic styles. It is referred to as the Chi Rho Iota page, and that is 3 Greek letters that make up the name for Jesus Christ, specifically referring to Jesus as Messiah or Savior. So let's find these. Okay, we have the X right here, the P here, and the I for iota down there. In looking at the overall design immediately, I think you should recognize what's being borrowed from metalwork. The surface is filled, but it is energized and contained at the same time within outlines. You can think compartments or you can think outlines here. Just for example, if we look at the X, you're going to see very strong lines creating a boundary or a border and creating within it compartments, and those compartments are filled with spiraling decoration. That spiraling decoration is incredibly energized, and the whole surface of this manuscript tends to vibrate and to pulse. You have to remember also this was created in a monastery by the monks, and it was created completely by hand using tempera paint, and that is an egg-based paint on vellum. Vellum is created with animal skin, so this would have been costly to make and certainly incredibly time-consuming to create as well. It's characterized by fine details everywhere. It is miniature in nature and very precisely crafted. These are qualities that are going to continue as a part of the aesthetics, the appreciation of beauty, essentially, in Northern Europe for centuries to come. Before I forget, I also want to go here with these Irish spirals, and they are in the abstracted arms of the X that projects outward, and inside of it we have a whole series of Irish spirals that have been tucked. Irish artists do include a series of references, symbols, design elements that make up the surface and ensure that nothing here is left empty. Among the images that are included, we have, and let me go to the big image right here, circling around at the end of the P is a human head. That head is located again over here. You can see it a little bit more clearly. It also shows us the outlining on the letter itself, creating compartments on its interior. And you even get a little bit of a glimpse of some interlace in this abstracted compartment next to the head. One comment about the head, it has been suggested that it may reflect Jesus. I can't tell you if that is true for sure, but I can tell you that if it does, it's Jesus as a redhead. And oftentimes we find that people depict God in their own image, and red hair in Ireland is something that is commonly found. The Irish not only give us a series of design elements and images that are tucked into every crevice of this manuscript design, but they also give us symbolic images that are incorporated. And these symbolic images here help to tell a story, but they also help to define the taste in the North for using hidden images and hidden symbols in artwork, which is going to continue for centuries. So let's find some of these things. Right here along the X, the outline of the X, you're going to find two angels here and another one up here. These two angels are incredible because they kind of look like Siamese twins. They're blended together and they seem to share a pair of wings. So very abstracted angelic forms. We get another angel located up here, almost as if announcing the story of Jesus. And this particular page is the introduction to the Gospel of Matthew as he is telling the story of the life of Jesus. So this is essentially the New Testament book of Matthew that is being illustrated. Let's look at another set of symbols that have been hidden in this. Located at the bottom, we have yet more hidden symbols. We're talking about this region of the manuscript page. Easiest to see right now in my tiny little detail there is this guy. Located here, and we can find him again up here. This is an otter with a fish. The Irish artist has put in an otter with a fish. This, we think, is a hidden symbol referencing, again, the fish as Jesus and the people, creatures, the otter standing in essentially for humans who embrace and accept Jesus. And it might also be a reference to communion in the Mass. We have another reference using critters, and it is located right here. And this is more direct in terms of a reference to the Eucharist and the Mass. Obviously, you're going to store Eucharists for purposes of communion, and sometimes you're going to find, I'm going to say, evildoers, mice in particular, who come to do harm to the Eucharist. And that's what we're seeing right here. Some mice who seem to have broken into the Eucharist container, and they look like they're nibbling on it. However, the kitty cats, also being kind of harassed by the mice, are going to take care of those mice. So this is kind of an image, I would suggest, of good versus evil. The mice referencing destructiveness and evil, and the kitty cats referencing purity and goodness and taking care of those rodents. So there are within the manuscript a variety of symbolic inclusions that help to tell the story of Christianity. Let me show you one more that'll be a little bit easier to understand. This one is tucked right here in the full page, and you can see that underneath the outline of the X, the arm of the X, and right next to a whole series of Irish spirals again. What is that? Well, it's two moths come together face to face, essentially, and those are an interesting symbol. They reference the truth that moths are kind of attracted to light. And light, of course, is a universal symbol for God. So it's being drawn to God, being drawn to religion, and in this case, being drawn to Christianity. There is, in addition, a more complex reading of this manuscript that I want to share with you right now. Well, anyone from the public could look at this book and, if they were Christian, work out the meaning of the moths. You'd have to find the moths, but once you got the moths, you could work out what they meant. The same is probably true for the otter and, on some level, the kitty cats and the mice. But to have a full appreciation of the meaning of those symbols, you actually had to understand the text that Matthew wrote. So let me read you from Matthew. This is from Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 to 21. And this is what Matthew has to say. Quote, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourself treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be." Well, that references the vermin, that would be the mice, and it also references the moths. So we're pretty sure that those symbols refer to this passage of Matthew. And what does that passage of Matthew say? Well, basically, it's reflecting the ideas of St. Augustine, and it's suggesting don't worry about earthly possessions. Don't worry about earthly things. So don't try and keep your treasures here because this world doesn't matter. What you need to worry about is the world in the next life, heaven, God's world. And if you are careful to prepare for that and store your treasures there, then your heart will also be there. It's a reference to the promise of salvation after this world. So using hidden symbols, it actually refers to an important passage within Matthew. Perhaps the most famous design coming out of Ireland is the design for the Irish High Crosses or the Irish High Standing Crosses. And this is one of them. It's figure 11-9. Even here in the United States, in some of our cemeteries, you will see standing Irish crosses. This particular one is big, however, really big. It stands 18 feet in height, and I do have a scale shot for you. This is me standing next to it, looking up at one of the decorated arms and feeling ever so small in relationship to this cross. These large-scale sculptures are uniquely Irish, although they may look like they're freestanding sculpture. They actually consist of 4 separate sides of relief carving. So this is not the same thing that we get in the ancient Greek world, where it's a figure and we can actually walk around it and appreciate it as a naturalistic image in our world. Instead, this is modeled on metalwork and on compartments, and each of those compartments either tell a story or include decoration which can be traced back to metalwork. The basic form of the Irish High Standing Cross consists of a cross usually on a sloping base that comes up and is intersected by a circle. The arms are tapered as they are cut into by the circular shape. And on the very top of that, there usually is a little house. That little house, we believe, is a reference to the tomb of Jesus. What we're looking at was not initially created specifically to be a grave marker. It was instead intended to be a victory stele, a statue that could stand in the landscape, announcing to the world that Jesus had triumphed over Satan through his crucifixion. This was one of the Irish monuments that would have been placed in the graveyard near the monastery, and the monks would have gathered around it for services. So it was a reminder of the basic teachings of Christianity. It is also one of the best examples that I can give you that actually clearly illustrates the blending of Christianity and migrations traditions, those barbaric traditions from the migrations people that are fundamentally pagan in nature.